Hello and welcome. Today's episode is not about AI, it's about trains. More specific, I will show you how to build a simple railroad system in Unity using Cinemachine, where you simply stitch together your track parts and then you put the train on the track and it simply drives. I have used this system in my recent video about Sheldon Cooper and the Big Bang Theory. Part of the story was that you can only get over to Sheldon's Island using a train because Sheldon loves trains. So if you haven't watched the video, here's the link. I also provide you with a small Unity package which contains the core of my system. You find the download link in the description. And if you like my video, please give me a thumb up and consider subscribing to my channel so you will not miss one of my next adventures. So for some time I already owned this Western pack from Synty Studios, and it comes with this neat little train and also the different track parts. And I was always wondering how to get the train move along the track. For a car moving on the street, you simply take a waypoint system and a spline and you're good. But a car can wobble around, it doesn't have to stick to the middle of the road, but a train has to strictly stick to the track. So first of all, I will show you how my solution looked like, and then I will explain how I did it. And if you like the asset, you find the link in the description. Okay, so here we are in Unity. First thing to do is we create an empty game object that's supposed to hold our track. And then we add a Cinemachine path to this track. Next I have some prefabs for the track parts. I have a left curve and I have a straight part. And then I'm simply using the built-in grid system to move the parts around and align them to create my track layout. Next we need a component that I call track generator. I need to assign the track to this generator. I have to set that's a loop track and not an open track, and then simply hit the generate button. And now if I disable all the track parts, you see the system has generated a Cinemachine path that exactly follows my track layout. Now we only need a train, and you see this train has a Cinemachine dolly card component. You only have to assign the corresponding path and define a speed. Now we add a virtual camera and set it up to follow our train. The dolly card component comes with Cinemachine and simply moves a game object along a Cinemachine path at a constant speed. And off it goes. So the idea behind generating this track automatically is actually pretty simple, and I was surprised that it really works in a simple way. But as a little recap, Cinemachine comes with a waypoint system. If you add a dolly track to your scene, the actual track is a Cinemachine path. You can simply add waypoints and move them around, and if you select the looped option, Cinemachine will automatically close the path. So the idea I had was, is it possible to stitch different little snippets of path together to generate the final path? And actually this is possible. So let me show you how you can do it. And for this I currently disable my train system so I have more space. So every track part will get its own little snippet of Cinemachine path. And for that I create an empty parent game object and add the track part as a child. Now I add the Cinemachine path to the parent game object. The difference is that by default Cinemachine uses the so-called Cinemachine smooth path, but the smooth path does not give us sufficient control over all the parameters. So what we add is a Cinemachine path. We only need 2 waypoints, and we position both at the beginning and the end of our track part. And now the Cinemachine path comes in handy, because we directly can set the tangents which determine the curvature of our spline. And we can set the tangents in a way that the curvature of our spline fits the curvature of our track part. So for my little train system I simply have 3 prefabs. One for a straight track, one for a left curve and one for a right. And each of them has this little Cinemachine path snippet attached. And now I can arrange my track. The only thing I have to take care of is that all track parts are in the right order. So the only thing that's missing is stitching all these little pieces together. So if I want to stitch two parts together, I have two paths and 4 waypoints. And the second waypoint of the first part and the first waypoint of the second part overlap. So I can drop one of these. The assumption I make is that the tangents are the same. And now I have to distinguish whether I have a closed or an open path. If I have a closed path, I always take the first waypoint of each track part. So overall I have n waypoints. If I have an open path, I have one waypoint more. In this case I take the first waypoint of the first part and then always the second waypoint. So I end up with n plus 1 waypoints. So that's basically all the code you need to generate the track. That's my track generator class, and it has basically two methods. The one is one to generate the track and one that simply adds a waypoint. First of all, I calculate whether I need n or n plus 1 waypoints. And then I create a new array of that corresponding size. The waypoint is no independent structure, but it's a public structure belonging to the Cinemachine path. And then I loop over all child objects of my track that I have assigned as a serialized field above here. And then depending on whether it's an open or closed track, I add the corresponding waypoints. I simply get this Cinemachine path snippet and strip out the corresponding waypoint. And in this part, basically, I transform the snippet position to the global track position. And finally, I set the waypoints of my generated track on the track object. I also used this concept for a different track system. What you see is from the Synty Western Frontier pack. And what I want to show you is you can also extend your track to the third dimension, so you can build ramps or something like that. What I also want to show you is that sometimes my approach is a little bit too simplistic, but it doesn't matter too much. So what you see is that in this case, the tangent of the large curve is bigger than the one of the following straight part. So in this case, the generated track kind of derails. But there's an easy fix. You just go to the corresponding waypoint and fix the tangent. One more thing you can simply do is have a longer train. So what you see is I have a locomotive, a tender and a wagon. All are set up the same, so all have a Cinemachine dolly cart attached to it with the same speed. But what you see here, you can change the position, so you can align them accordingly. And if you then start it, the whole train will move. So, and the last thing I want to show you is what you get if you download the package. For sure, I can't give you the assets from Synty, but you get the whole train system. Instead of the original track parts, you get this kind of dummy track parts and also the curves. And if you own the Synty Western pack, you simply have to replace these objects by your own meshes. That's it. But here you see it comes with a generator. You can play around, you can create your own tracks. And if you run it, this dummy locomotive will just follow the track. And one more thing. My train can also fly. And by the way, the controller script is also part of the package. So that's it. Hope you had some fun and let me know what you have done with this railroad system.